Hello, I'm Silicon Dark,
And I'm Big Haas.
and welcome back to Completely Nerdified.
Today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of technology in underprivileged communities. So as we go out of the industrial age into the technology age, that has affected many communities.
Yeah.
But I think it has affected more in the underprivileged communities
Yeah,
because they have less resources to adapt
yeah,
to new jobs being available and then old jobs becoming not available.
right. I mean, there's what they've been calling a digital divide,
Right.
where certain people have access to technology that other people don't have. Like, not everybody has the latest iPhone or the latest Android smartphone, and because of that, they don't have access to a lot of things that people that can't afford that stuff get.
In fact, I was talking to a teacher a couple of years ago, and she was saying even in the year 2015 that not all students had access to the internet, so they can't make lesson plans
Right.
that depend on that.
Yeah,
They can say, well, if you don't have internet at home, you will have time to do it in school, but they can't make it exclusive because even in 2015, there were still households that didn't have access to internet. So can you imagine what
Yeah.
that means? So if you're underprivileged in that aspect, that's an entire world of technology
Yeah.
that you don't have at your fingertips.
yep. I mean, it's gotten to the point now where, like, my kids are finishing school, well, high school anyway, and even through middle school, they had technology that would deliver their grades to me.
Yeah.
Like, I would know their
Yeah.
grades. They had to do their homework online.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine, somewhere, like, if you're a rural area and don't have access to high-speed internet, you don't have that same kind of access.
Right. And imagine how quickly that divide gets larger because we know technology changes overnight.
Yes.
So you can imagine that even 6 months without constant access to the information, because it's not like you can get internet for one day and then catch up on everything, right?
Right.
So without constant access to the information, you're just going to be further and further behind on what's happening in the world
Yeah.
and how it's changing and how it's going to affect you and be able to make decisions based on that.
Yeah.
So that becomes really hard for, those communities. And then we wonder why those communities have a hard time keeping up economically, socially, because of that.
Yeah, even the hardware that we use to access the internet, that has a lifespan of like 2 or 3 years.
Right.
The iPhone 5, if I try to run it today, it's going to be very slow compared to the iPhone 7. That's only 2 versions away.
Right. 2 versions away, but if I can't even afford an iPhone 5,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine how many versions away I'm going to end up being. So I
Yeah.
mean, it becomes really a steep hill for people to climb. And I don't have all the answers or maybe any of the answers to that problem, but I think it becomes something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I totally agree. I remember, like, growing up in the Bronx, there was nobody in my neighborhood that had a computer. But I mean, I didn't really get into computers till way after high school when I started working, and I learned basically on my own.
It's weird because my mom was a teacher, so although I did have access to at least the earlier computers, and for me, which was the TRS-80 and the Apple IIc and things like that, it was very limited. It was very limited the access to them. So I didn't really start doing any real computer work until college, and honestly, really after that. I mean, I didn't start programming really until after that. So it was, and it's a big paradigm shift to go from a non-computer world into a world where that's all you do, because you become aware of, so I guess it's any industries like that, but you become aware of all the changes that are happening in the world, right?
Yeah.
As far as technology.
Yeah. Now you have like a bigger pipe of information, and now you learn more about what's going on in the world in real time when you start working in technology.
Right. But then now, and today, today's time, that has become a real thing where, you remember back when they were talking about robots going to take over the car industry, right? They're going to just have robot arms and they're going to build all the cars.
Yeah.
And you know, that was a big thing back in like, what, the 80s, where that was just going to take over and take a bunch of jobs, and people were up in arms about robots and taking the jobs, and there were all kind of shows and cartoons and things about that. That's still happening, right? So that transition is still happening, but it's going to get into industries that no one ever thought would be an industry that would be jeopardized by that, like truck drivers. You know, I just saw where, you know, Uber and Google and Apple and everyone else that are in the automated driving industry are upping the ante on getting semi-trucks automated. Yeah. And I read a few months ago where they had they did their first test where I think it was they took 50 cases of Budweiser from point A to point B. It was all automated, you know, semi-truck, and you have to realize that is going to be a real thing, which is going to be great in one aspect, right? You're going to be able to get goods and services a lot quicker and thought, you know, maybe a lot cheaper. But that's a whole industry of workers that now will possibly be out of work.
Yeah, and the biggest thing of any community, whether impoverished or not, is jobs. Right. And a lot of these new technologies replace jobs. Things like, you know, where you go to a toll booth that goes up and down, you know, you can kind of use, you know, your card or whatever, or something sticking to your windshield. That used to be people's jobs. They used to work 9 to 5 or whatever their shift was. And hey, subscribe to our channel.
And if you like this video, hit the like button.
Leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you.